All right, we're already starting the next top 4 match.
Yes.
Let's go. We have Masai that we just saw before, and Ludimis, who's playing Eldrazi Brute combo. Ludimis is actually the Swiss Unity League, so basically our Switzerland's national champion in that sense, from 2024. Yes, so he will be defending the title this year, because in Switzerland we already had this league running for 2 years, and it was such a big success. We have like basically every single organizer that's now signed up for it, that we thought like this year we're gonna start out and make it Europe wide. But yeah.
And Eldrazi Brutescale is not a deck you see very common nowadays outside of Pauper.
That's true. But he actually won the Swiss Unity League championship with the brute scale deck as well, so he's very familiar with it, and it definitely also has its strengths. So and he's just like a phenomenal player. I can not say more about that.
Here we see already the potent combo of Tamio and Urza's Bubble, flipping Tamio on turn 2, making
And
her
drawing an extra card.
making her extremely potent.
Yeah, I wonder why brute scale combo is not that played anymore. It seems to be doesn't seem to be so bad, honestly. I think.
So let's have a look at the deck list and explain how the deck works. Of course, the name comes from the card Basking Brutescale, which is a 2-mana 2/2, and whenever it gets a +1/+1 counter, you get an Eldrazi spawn. Now, usually, when you're in Pauper, you would add the card Sadistic Glee to it, meaning whenever your creature dies, it gets a counter. But you're in Modern, you can't add that card because it's way too old. In that sense, you have Glaring Flashraker. And Glaring Flashraker does basically the same thing, just in a different shell. It's a 3-mana 2/2, and whenever you cast a color spell, you get an 0/1 colors Eldrazi token, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you deal 1 damage. So that adds to the combo, and then you just, basically rush your opponent.
Oh, it's just 3 mana Flame of Honor to kill it. That's like without the wizard.
Well, it's very potent. You need to get rid of it.
It is the best card maybe of the deck almost. I mean, yeah, apart from the combo, the Flash Raker is just the Flash Raker is just so crazy when you have 2 of them. It's just absurd. You get 2 tokens, and each of them deals 2 damage. Then you get 4 damage per colorless spell, and you get 2 mana in return. Like you just go like 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage, and you just win.
And then you can also use, for example, a Walking Ballista, which is an XX that is big as X, and you can use X0 as the hidden mode of then adding a mana to your mana pool, because you get an Eldrazi spawn, but also dealing a damage because she enters and dies right away. There's a lot of very fine line. Obviously, the card then that does the whole combo is the Blade of the Bloodchief. Whenever a creature dies, the creature gets a power, and that will make the brute scale have, well, at a counter, make a token, sacrifice, at a counter, make a token. You get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting combo. I mean, I think the only downside of the combo is that it's a bit like you need many pieces, right? It's not enough to just have the brute scale and the Blade of the Bloodchief. I think you get infinite if you get one infinitely big creature, but you don't get any advantage from it. So you still need to have
you have to still have to attack with it, or be able to attack with it. If you have the brute scale and the equipment, then you can attack with the brute scale once you get one piece of creature dying. But besides that,
oh wait, you also get infinite mana, right?
Yeah, infinite colorless mana,
but you're right, but you don't get infinite tokens. You just get infinite colorless mana and infinite really big creature.
If you have a second equipment attached to the brute scale, you get infinite tokens as well, because then each trigger will make 2 of them.
Makes sense, yeah.
Now, Soulguide Lantern exiles one of the Eldrazi's. Tamio's up to 8 now. That means that's the ultimate alert, but unfortunately, she will lose some.
Yeah, but she will just lose 1 loyalty if he attacks. If Ludimis attacks, she will lose 1 loyalty, and so then if she will go to 7, then she will be able to ultimate.
Is that one of the priced ultimates? there's a lot that can happen. Obviously, you can just play an equipment and attack to make it bigger, but at least technically, we are in ultimate range. And the way that the opponent is kind of thinking promises maybe we'll get to see it. I will promise you that after this ultimate, there won't be another turn. So, in case you were wondering, Vista.
Yeah, it's
Beforehand.
unlikely. I mean, it is possible maybe if you have some sort of interaction, but otherwise it's definitely game over. But I mean, even then, like if you draw like 2 or 3 mocks and you have so much mana, if you draw half your deck at this point, I think I haven't achieved it yet to do like turn 5 draw half your library. I only had it like later, but turn 5, it's like super potent for sure. Not gonna lie.
I think they're just talking about a little life total difference, pointing out the Haywire Might, and then Shocklands. What was paid where? Did I get a token here? Very important to be very clear with your triggers and intentions so they're all noted. So would you say that the Brusque version is better than the normal red-green version?
The red-green Eldrazi, you mean?
Yes.
Honestly, it's difficult to say without experience. I mean, the results don't really justify it, but personally, I don't really know the in-depth of the brute skill deck well enough to answer this question. Honestly, it's very strange why it has lost so much of the popularity lately.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to say why that is the case. I
The
mean,
other Eldrazi deck plays cooler cards. You get to play more Ulamovs.
not sure that's the reason.
It might be some of the consistency because you get to play the Vow of Destinies. You can fix your draw steps better, and that means you find more answer pieces.
Yeah, I mean, the Devourer is definitely one thing, and you
Use
also get
the
to play the Yugen's Labyrinth.
a second glaring Fresh Taker,
So
which
that's the
then
third.
adds every colorless spell now, makes 2 mana.
Wait, can that Flesh Raker hit creatures? Planeswalkers.
No, only opponents.
Okay.
1 damage to each opponent.
Okay, so
So
yeah,
that's a Walking Ballista for 0. Here you see the trick, right? Walking Ballista costs 0, makes 2 tokens, enters the battlefield as a 0/0, dying, causing 1 damage to each opponent. And that basically was 2/3 of a Black Lotus. And then all of this is a Cold Deck command for 4.
and then it's game.
And that makes 4 tokens. Each of those 4 tokens will deal 1 damage. So that's 8 damage plus 2 from the Cold Deck command is 10 damage. Whoa, look at that. Yes, that's already enough.
Sick. That's
Let
crazy.
me introduce you to the 16 damage turn by casting 2 cards. Yeah, wow, impressive. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, I mean, 2 Flesh Raker is the point where it gets really crazy. That is true.
As soon as you get to add 2 mana for each spell, but also the other guy, the Cozy Legs command, maybe one of the most underrated cards. Like it's loved and it's played, but you see so many different applications in each of the decks.
It's just a very strong card. I mean, like in Legacy, we saw it in this that often was like, I don't know, like you have when you have like 10 mana or something, you can pay 2 and X, so you essentially just pay 2 mana, you get another X construct, spawns, and you get a scry X, which is pretty good. Essentially, you just lose 2 mana, and you get a bunch of tokens, which will all trigger your Flesh Raker, and then you still, you scry a lot of cards and can play another card from it, while only losing minimal amounts of mana. So if you have the Flesh Raker together with the Kozilek's command, you can basically, you basically just win.
And it somehow lets you access every facet of a Magic game. If you want to draw cards, you can do that. You can alter the board state by making mana and or tokens to block or save up mana for a future turn that you can then use to basically double your mana for a turn. You can also exile a permanent that you don't like or the graveyard. So it's like all of the 4 modes, which is basically, since Cryptic Command never really seen, are relevant, and that's obviously what makes the card very potent. Super fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's a card. It's really cool design. I mean, if also I think it's just good that the Eldrazi decks have a bit more interaction, because in the past they were a bit, in my opinion, a bit boring, because I mean their interaction was like based on like Karn, the Great Creator, and Eldrazi. Sorry,
Sure.
Chalice of the Void, which is like
And
hate pieces. So it's like usually if you have it in play and it works, it's like either it does nothing or it's like game breaking. And
yes.
it's and like the Kozilek's Command is like a very interesting card because it has a lot of play to it, right? Because you can play it on turn 2, you can turn 4. It's like has a lot of skill around it, which I
And
think
you
makes
obviously get the bonus of the lands making 2 mana if you have a Eldrazi Trample that is
yeah,
already an ancient tomb that doesn't cost any mana.
definitely
Pretty sick. Also, you see in the Brute Scale deck another edition of Malevolent Rumble. So let's just make a quick assessment. But the Eldrazi decks play Malevolent Rumble. The Breach decks play Malevolent Rumble. Actually, all decks in the top 8, except for the one Blink deck. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about the Yawgmoth deck. That
Is,
might,
is that right?
uh, like, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy. Malevolent Rumble, yeah. Who would have known? Very good card. Here we see a live piece of deck sideboarding. You see your opponent's deck list. You have access to it, so you know exactly what cards they have access to, what they might board in, board out. In the form of Eldrazi Ramp, they have access to Nature's Claim, 3 Collector Oof. Oh, that's the game for the other one. I mean, 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Vexing Bubble, 2 Torpor Orb, 3 Thiever Existence.
Yeah, let's have a look at the deck lists.
So let's look up what Thiever Existence does. When you cast a spell, exile up to 1 non-creature, non-permanent opponent control mana value 4 or less. If you do, this creature gains leave the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. So it's basically a Thought-Knot that exiles a permanent. Not bad if you want to exile Moxopals. Not bad if you want to exile Tamios.
But it's non-creature, I think, right? So you cannot exile a Tamio.
The Planeswalker.
You can exile the Planeswalker, yes, that's true.
Yes.
But I think generally speaking, a sorcerer speed removal for non-creature spells is not the best against the breach deck, because they can just sack the station, and the Underworld Breach will just.
You would definitely board a Damping Sphere. Damping Sphere is one of the best cards because effectively the Breach deck is looking for a turn where they cast many, many spells. Damping Sphere is going to prevent that. There is a Grafdigger's Cage. Now, I have learned Grafdigger's Cage is a two-sided card because sometimes it doesn't really do what you want it to do or prevent what you want it to prevent. For example, if you play a Living Death, Grafdigger's Cage is basically useless. Is that the case where Grafdigger's Cage is a masked answer?
I think in this case it works, yes, because the breach casts spells from the graveyard, which is all spells. Yeah, so that works. And
so even if you have your Nature's Claim in your graveyard, you still can't use it because of the Grafdigger's Cage, and that's exactly the form of interaction you're looking for, right?
Yes, that's really strong. Especially you can also get it from the Saga. And the lucky thing for Lewis that his deck, I think, doesn't have a single card that gets punished by the Grafdigger's Cage. Except that you cannot get the Haywire Might from the Saga. But I think that's the only situation that is problematic. So I think the way you board, I think you also want the Vexing Bubbles. Because it prevents the combo because you cannot cast 0-drops anymore. So
Vexing Bubble says you counter everything that wasn't spent with mana, and since 0 mana isn't spending anything, you counter everything that costs 0, therefore preventing the actual mana gain from the Moxen.
Exactly, yeah.
But you can still do because you don't get the artifacts to enter, so that means you cannot untap your grinding station and use it all over again. So a lot of different angles, and we see actual angles that are worked differently It's not Stony Silence where you cannot use your artifacts. You counter the artifacts with different. You cannot make them cast through the breach. So if you have one of each, like each additional piece adds so many layers of protection, right?
Yeah, that's the strong part about it for sure. You can just
And Grafdigger's Cage costs one. You said it, you can get it from Saga. Pithing Needle, Haymire White, all of those you can also get from Saga. So if you draw the other piece, Damping Sphere, another piece, Vexing Bubble. So Sagas are very, very threatening permanents for your opponent to have.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, the can we see the other deck list? Let's see how much hate he has against the sagas and all of these artifacts. I mean, he has the standard configuration, which is one Boseiju, two Nature Flames, and then he also has the Flame of Honor, which is going to help out a lot, for sure. But other than that, it's not that much. I mean, he has the Needle, which can help against the combo.
Yeah. You still have to draw your pieces in the right order. But as he said in the interview, they're playing the version with the stock ups, one in the main, one in the sideboard. You do get to play a slower game usually after sideboarding. When people board against you, they have more pieces that interrupt your combo, but also they get a little bit slower because they have to add all those pieces to the deck, meaning you
Yeah.
have more time to play your stock ups, find the answers, and stock up is such a good card to find answers. Looking at the top five, putting stuff into your graveyard. No, not putting in your graveyard. That would be
On the bottom. That would
yeah.
that would be completely broken if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the case. But yeah, I think the problem at this point is just I need to ask Messiah this if he has time later. I think the stock ups conflict in the same spot as the Flame of Honor. So whenever you bring in the Flame of Honor, I don't think you want the stock up because it's both a 3-drop and you don't have you can only play so many cards with the same mana cost. And I think the Flame of Honor is going to be really important in this matchup. And for this reason, I'm not sure if the stock up is the right call right now. I think the spell snare sounds maybe okay. I mean, I guess it's also still only two targets, like the brute scale and the bramble, so it's probably still not worth it. Yeah, so I don't think he will bring in that, but I still think he wants the bolts because it deals with the brute scales and the flesh raker, which is both really good targets. And then the question is what to cut. I mean, probably the Swanson goes, the stock up goes, the Torment script goes, the Soulgan Lantern goes, and what else? You probably want the Haywire Mind. Yeah, you definitely want the Haywire Mind. Something like that. But you have. Oh, you also want to bring in the Consign, of course. Oh, that's
That's a
not
lot. That's a lot of cards.
Yes, the Consign, of course, carries like basically every single card of the deck, and in particular also the Cosmic's Command. Huh. So you probably cut 2 Malevolent Rumble as well. Roughly like that's probably how it's gonna board. But I still think you need to cut more cards. I don't know. It's tough. So many cards to bring in, so little things to cut. I guess you can maybe cut like a Mox or two. Yeah, it's probably roughly like that. Like probably like 2 Mox and like 1 Mox Sammer, 1 Mox Opal, 1 Swan Song, 2 Rumble, 1 Stock Up. It's like 7 cards, but then you still need more.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have space for everything, so you have to kind of
Yeah,
decide.
stuff.
And this might be one of the cases because this is an open deck list. You can justify having too many sideboard cards because usually you have a very good map of what you take in and out and then follow that map. But if you know exactly what your opponent is bringing, you can diversify by just taking some of those answers and not some of the others.
Yeah.
And the typical start, Tamio, Bubble, Land, very potent. And here we see Blade of the Blood Chief, another
Yes.
Temple. Blade
That
of
will
the Blood
allow
Chief.
that will allow him to kill on the 3rd turn with the Blade of the Blood Chief.
Yes, you play Nesting Brute Scale, equip, level up, or whatever it
You see
has.
the same play from Messiah again to crack the clue flip to Tammy and plus it?
Yeah.
Probably.
Last turn, it was just exactly one turn off of winning the game. He had a Tamio. He was promised to ultimate it, but unfortunately, that was not quick enough. She was ready to use, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, one turn too late.
Probably his draw last game was. I was wondering what he had still in hand in that game because it's crazy. Like he also drew some extra cards from the bauble and the Tamio, and he didn't really cast anything after plussing the Tamio like 3 times. It's very interesting.
Okay, Cavern of Souls, casting a Grafdigger's Cage. That's very important. And Eldrazi Temple casting a Soul Guide's Lantern. Okay. So you have two forms of fighting against your opponent, but as we said, once you board in so many cards, your deck plan gets slower. And if that Tamio is unhinged, it doesn't really matter what you haven't played. Your opponent draws half your deck. They will find the answers they need in half their deck. Tamio, number 2, just as a backup if you want to draw more cards.
Yeah, I mean, the good part about the Tamio is just that you can play the backside. You can flip it and then still replay another. This is like the big downside of the Emery that is legendary. Like, and the
And Tamio
Tamio gets around it quite well.
on her own, making clues is still good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, just need to be careful to not flip it.
Do you have to flip her?
Yes, you have to flip her once you get to
Yeah.
the third card.
So make sure to not draw too many cards. 2 is fine.
Yeah.
3, too much. You can't
Yeah, I wanted an opponent which played Breach, a value Breach, and then played 3 baubles, cracked them all, and then in my upkeep it flipped the Tamio, and I was like, all right, I'll attack with my Swan token to kill it. So yeah, essentially his Swan Song killed his whole Tamio, which was great. But then I still lost the match. So
there we have it. The Brute Scale.
oh, so the
Combo
game
is
already
active if you can equip and you can.
Yeah, he's
evolve.
asking if it's uncounterable. Oh no, he doesn't have a land. Oh, that's unlucky. What is in Messiah's hand? Like, he's not drawing anything. Like, no removal, nothing.
Only breaches.
The Cavern is really brutal because I think he definitely has the Consign in hand. But if he just loses to the Brute Scale combo,
you can prevent it once if you make the first token not make a creature, but it's not an indefinite solution.
that is true. That is true. I mean, you only need to buy like one turn, right? Because Tamio is already.
Yes.
The Tamio hasn't plus yet, right? It goes to 8 this turn, doesn't it?
Next turn. Yes, I assume you're correct.
So if you just buy one turn with like playing one or two consigns, it will be probably enough to win the game. Because I mean, it's nice to have Grafdigger's Cage and the Zolgad Lantern.
I love all this reading back and forth. Can I do this? Can I do that? What is this? Tommy makes a clue. So what's your answer? What are you going to do? Oza Saga. Okay. That's going to come in handy in a few turns. 2 mana for the healing. That's an Emery. That's why you wanted a clue to make Emery 1 cheaper. 4 cards, including a Breach, entering the graveyard. Oh no, it's an Unholy Heat.
I think it's an Unholy Heat and Flame of Anor, and I'm not sure what the blue card is. Is it the Preordain? No.
It's something. Tamio now.
Oh no, I think it's a Swan Song. Really? Is this a Swan Song? That is strange. Why does he bring in Swan Song? I don't know. We'll have to ask him afterwards if there's a...
What does Cavern of Souls do? Third mana. That's very important. Now you can actually pretend to make infinite mana if that would work.
But you need to equip, and then you need to pay to get the thing, the counter, and then the combo starts, right?
Yes. So you're equipping, but then even Emery could just block. The Brute Scale is infinitely big. That is true. But unfortunately, that doesn't prevent it from being blocked. It doesn't have trample. So that's the equip.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the consign to just stop the combo for 1 turn, it will be enough, I guess, to win.
You can just block. You don't even need to consign it.
I mean, you don't want them to... you don't want that Lou gets infinite mana, right?
There's no infinite mana. Oh, there is. Oh, my bad. Yeah. I was confused. No, obviously. So you want to stifle the first trigger.
Yeah.
And Lou needs to be aware that this is one of the options. And even then, brute scale now can be blocked by Emery. Yes, so Tamio is going to ultimate basically no matter what. Because that Emery can't be dealt with. You can't Kozilek's command it. You can't really do anything. What is the answer to this solution? Bulking Ballista for 0. Okay, so that creates one of the triggers, because Walking Ballista is a 0/0 entering the battlefield. It instantly dies. It has no toughness, but most probably it will create one of those triggers that adds a counter to the brute scale. And
I
once
see.
it gets this counter, you can
It will be.
start the chain. So he's basically asking, do you want to counter this ballista or counter the trigger? And if that happens, yes, I'll get a spawn. This gets a counter. Ah, okay. So we're in the part of this getting a counter. Why wouldn't you counter the... Is that actually... So let's give the brute scale a read, because the ability of brute scale says adapt. If this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter. This is exactly a very good timing, because he lets the counter resolve, but then counters the trigger. And now you can't adapt it because that card has already
Oh, that's so
counter.
smart.
Very good timing, very good usage.
That's such a good play.
And
Oh,
that's a
but
rumble. Oh, okay. So Lou wants to go again by creating the spawn.
so
Very
close.
good timing, but unfortunately not rewarded for this. Let's see if that sticks. There is indefinite amount of mana, 50, 100, 5 million. Yes, I gain a life. It's true.
This.
This shouldn't matter, right?
Yeah, life doesn't really matter. But
Are
like,
we at the second game in a row where you have a Tamio that is on 8? You just need one more turn and you just don't get there again? Is that true? No.
that's kind of crazy.
All right. Sacrifice Eldrazi. Yes, yes, you have infinite mana. This is infinitely big. It now has 6 counters. This is as big as this. This is the part. Yes. Now you have infinite tokens. Okay. Now also your tokens are infinitely big because you can move around the swords. So that means you have one creature that can attack, an infinite amount of creatures that are infinitely big. All right, but that doesn't still solve the problem, because your creature can still be blocked, and Tamio still has enough counters to ultimate next turn. There's one more
Yes.
piece missing.
Yeah, he needs to have. He needs to have something in the hand, but he had to. He had to play the ballista.
I don't think that's it, right? Yeah, the ballista would have been the missing piece.
We have a reader.
Oh no. Okay, now I will read what she does. I think I can prevent it, so let me read it now. Yeah, but unfortunately, yes, you have an infinite board with infinite creatures, and they're infinitely big, but it is not enough.
That's kind of absurd. Like, it's crazy. Like, the kind of matches that we're watching,
You can draw a card. And I think it was a Grove of the Burnvilles.
Oh, it was a complex command.
Oh!
That's insane.
No way! Does that? Yeah, it looks through your library. It draws you any
Yeah,
card.
it just cries your deck, and then you can
Oh no!
then you draw.
You can basically stack your deck.
Insane. That's so crazy just to get. Oh yeah, he also could just exile the Emery. Just make
Oh wow!
just
Incredible.
more lands and Emerys and Tamios. Tough.
Yeah, that's so heartbreaking. You have a Tamio on 8 twice, and you don't get to do the thing.
Insane.
All right. Wow, that means Lou, with the Eldrazi Brute Scale, the very much Eldrazi list that nobody really wanted to play. They all stuck with the Gruul Eldrazi's. This colorless kind of green Eldrazi is in the finals, one game away from winning a Library of Alexandria. Pretty sick.
Yes, and also you get an awesome trophy, and of course an invite directly to the European Magic Cup that will be happening early 2026 in Italy, with 20,000 euro prizes, 3 main events in different formats, and also a team trio day 2 stage. I'm very excited to go look further to that.
Nice. Must be nice to already have your slot filled up. And you know you're going to have a nice vacation.
Yes, it's gonna be awesome. Well, let's see what the other semifinals is doing. Maybe we can have them ready on the backup future match already, or is it still? Are they still playing? Awesome. Then let's get down to the game between Pascal Grossman on Teamer Breach versus Felipe Souza on Yawgmoth Crimson Zenith. Yeah, both of them are titans of the Swiss Magic community, grinding for a lot of Unity League points in the last 2 years in Switzerland, where we already had this tournament series, or like a similar version of it for the past 2 years. And this year, me, Yari Wrench, and 2 other friends are launching this European version of it. And yeah, today we have our kickoff event where we're inviting a lot of pros to showcase our series and to show you some of the cool things that we're doing. Yeah. Let's go. Wow, that's a start from Pascal right there. Oh my god. That's like a god start. Crazy.
Hello.
Right back for the semifinals.
Oh, I see. I didn't miss a thing.
Yes, you only missed Pascal's turn 1.
Yeah, Pascal is doing what he does best. I see. Okay. So he literally announced Uno in the first turn.
Is it Uno? Oh yeah. No,
Like
no, no.
Uno, he
No, no.
played all of them.
Sorry, it's Cerro. Yes.
0, 0, 0.
Like
Wow.
0 cards in hands, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Hellbent. The literal Hellbent, turn 1.
And
Pretty
then
good.
and then his opponent played 1 land.
So look at the stream and watch a very professional Team Breach player how to navigate the deck.
Yes, you just have to keep the hands with 2 Moxen and a lots of 0 drops, and you will win. That's how you do it. Casually flipping the Tammy on turn 2. I think he has a bubble trigger, right? I think so. Oh no, he has 1 card still in hand. So he must have still had 1 card in hand, actually. He played Mox, Emery, Tamio, Piffy.
No, I think that's the bubble drawn.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. So he had 0.
So yeah, this
Crazy.
is the Tamio. And then you could plus Tamio, use Emery to draw more cards. The only downside is there's nothing that resembles a combo yet. Like there's no breach, there's no grinding station. So against a deck that can also kill you quite easily on turn 3 or 4, you still have to prove that, yeah, you're worth the start. Look at that. Graveyard, out of here. Endurance. Okay.
I mean, that's good, because that makes also the Tamio worse.
So all you got right now is a Saga, which isn't 0, and a Clue. But you do have Metacraft through the Clue. Okay, so you draw a card. What is that?
That's a Hapatra.
That's good start.
Can someone read what the needle is naming?
It looks like exactly that. Hapatra?
No, I don't think it doesn't make any sense. I think it could be. It's not Grist. It's not Yawgmoth. It could be the Cauldron, but it's not the Cauldron either. I think.
Agatha. It says Agatha. Yes, it's the Cauldron.
Oh, it's the Cauldron. Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
Makes
That's why it looked so close to Hapatra.
Yes, makes sense. So now you can make a construct. The next turn you can get a clue, and then you just continue to draw cards with the Emery.
Okay, I'm promising. If this Tamio is getting to 8 again and then not ultimating, I am losing it. Like, you can't promise me the ultimates and keep not giving it to me. That's the Cauldron. Can't be used. Now, Hapatra is also interesting because if she deals damage, then you can make creatures smaller and also make tokens. So it's more of a combo piece. It doesn't do much on its own. Oh. Yeah, probably casting the Endurance was reducing the options by so much that there's not much left. But, oh, wait a second. Okay, if you get Dryad Arbor and then cast Yawgmoth, what happens? Aren't you, like, super far?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the Yawgmoth, you still need a creature to sack, but you can get the Dried Arbor and then sack
Yeah,
the
you
Dried
get
Arbor.
Dryad Arbor now, sack Arbor, and then because of Hapatra, whenever you put a
Yes.
-1/-1 counter to the creature, you get a snake. So they cycle through, and you
Yes.
kill all the creatures. And then we don't get to ultimate Tamio again? No. This is unreal. You can't do that to me. This can't keep happening.
You really just want to see that ultimate just once.
Look, I'm not a difficult man. Like, I just you printed that line of text on the creature for a reason. You know? Because it can't be just say it's an omen. You know, that's Dryad Arbor.
It also works through the Soulgan Lantern, which is it's nice.
Surely it just works through anything. Yeah. Oh. So I wonder if you have to maybe crack the lantern to draw something, but what can you draw? A lightning bolt?
But I think you still have the Tamio, so you still I think the Yawgmoth will actually not be enough because I mean
You
yeah,
can attack Tamio for 1?
yes, then it's still on 7.
Okay.
So I think there's no way.
But can't you draw a lot of cards? So if you draw a Court of Calling, you win the game, right?
You don't get infinite tokens, do you?
You get a token of each of no, you don't get infinite. You only keep one at a time, right? So you make a token.
Yes.
You do get a token from the Hapatra hitting a player, if that's worth something. It actually, then you can get a 1-drop, which is a spirit, a young wolf, I mean.
But
young wolf doesn't come back.
yes. I don't really see the way to do it right now, but maybe you can do it with the endurance.
How big is this token? Does it have 5 counters?
It's a 6, yeah.
Whoa, okay. Dead. Yeah, but that's only 1. Goes to 7. And now?
Oh!
No.
Is it? Does the Hot Potter work?
No.
Does it deal...
It's not enough.
Yeah, does the Hot Potter deal combat damage? Oh, no, it's just a player, no planeswalkers. Like when Hot Potter deals combat damage to a player, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. But in this case, it doesn't work. Okay.
No. You need also, yeah, but you also don't get to do so. No matter what happens, you can't get over 3 creatures. That's the problem. And your Court of Calling can't work because your Yawgmoth is black.
You can, and you can have the endurance, right? You can pitch the endurance and then
True.
chord.
That
That's
is a
tricky
very
to
good
sometimes
point.
do.
So this is what you should have done. Instead of attacking, you should have keep fighting enduring, except if you only have one endurance. Let's see. We don't have the deck lists. At least we have them on on here. From Felipe Yarmoth, easily to find on the website. And we look at it and it says 2 endurance. So there was at least one out.
Yeah, but I still think. I mean, then you have 4 creatures.
But then you can get a young wolf.
But does that help? That still doesn't go infinite.
It gives you an access to another untapped creature because it comes back. Now, yay! We get to see it. Do it! All right, here we go. Ultimate. Okay, so you kill the token. Yeah, I mean, that's not gonna do much. I assume the token isn't relevant once you've drawn half your deck.
Let's count the deck.
I mean, is there even a mathematical chance that you can't win? No. I know it's untimed, but I promise
mean-
you, if my opponent draws half the deck,
It's very unlikely, I think, that it doesn't. It's not enough because mathematically you should always find the.
it's fine. I mean, it's also such a fun moment. Have your opponent draw half the deck. You know. Cards in hand. Why is Pascal thinking so long? Is there something missing from the piece?
I mean, when you draw 30 cards or 20 cards, you just have to think a bit for a second. Wait, where are my win conditions?
You
Let
need
me
to
see.
find the red card of your deck. All right.
Where's the
Underworld
red
Breach.
card?
Yes. Underworld Breach resolves. Tap 2 other mana. No, kill the token before. Draw. Okay, go on 4. Yagmoth does cost life, so you don't have infinite triggers. 3,
I think he's trying to find the endurance.
2. Imagine if you find endurance. And it would have maybe won the turn last, but now endurance, yes. Mox apart. Okay, wow. I got to see it. I'll go to bed now. I don't need more magic. I got to see an emblem.
Yeah. I mean, it's an ultimate, I guess, but I think don't. Oh yeah, you get the emblem to get maximum ham size, or how does it work?
I think so. There's
Okay.
either it says it or you get an emblem, but there
Yeah.
must be
Probably it's an emblem.
good
Yeah.
enough. Okay. Well, turns out if you play a whole hand on turn 1, you have a good chance of winning the game.
With Tamio ultimate, because your opponent needs to take care of more stuff.
So let's see what Yagmoth has to sideboard. Fatal Push. Thoughtseize, definitely going in. Collector Oof, absolutely.
Can you switch? Perfect.
Soulless Jailer.
Yes, that's also coming in.
So for everybody wondering, totally not me. I definitely don't look up this card right now.
You don't know Soulless Jailer?
It prevents you from doing something. It's an 0-4, I know that.
It's like similar to like a Graph Digger's Cage.
Your permanent cards can't enter the battlefield. Players can cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. Yes. So that means needs to get rid of it when you want to combo. Good card. Fulminator Mage. Probably good enough. If you can Now, although the deck doesn't need too much mana, so no, it's probably just a Tron Eldrazi card. Okay, not boarding that. Surgical distractions. That seems to be also some of the trap cards, which are sometimes very good and sometimes very bad. But I assume if you surgical the exact right thing, like an Underworld Breach, your chances of winning the game are
Yeah.
going up.
I think it's just also like having just like one copy in the deck is really good because it's complicated to play around it, and if there's just one copy in the deck, it's really awkward in terms of from the perspective of a breach player. I can tell from experience. Yeah.
One of the new cards that are very exciting for Yawgmoth is Dredger's Insight,
Oh,
which is
actually,
basically a Malevolent Rumble. But instead of you don't get a token, you get the ability of if a creature leaves your graveyard, you gain a life. That's specifically important because the Young Wolf now doesn't lose your life, so you can draw basically infinite cards. Actually, Young Wolf gains your life once it normally dies. So you do have some form of life gain. And if you ever end up in a spot where you have to endurance yourself, you also do gain a lot of life.
I need to read this card.
So Judge's Insight is a new card from.
Yeah, I figured it. I think I've seen it before. Whenever
It basically says
so
whenever a
it's
creature
similar
or
to the Rumble.
the part, yeah, it's similar that you mill for and then choose something to get to your hand, artifact, creature, land. But if something leaves your graveyard, in this case a creature, because you don't really play artifacts that aren't creatures, you gain a life. So that counts
Okay.
for Young Wolf coming back from Persist. That counts for Endurance, shuffling your cards into the bottom of your library. It counts for the
Doesn't
Soul
sound so
Cauldron.
broken, but because like I mean it's essentially like a blood artist. That's not. I mean, it allows you to go infinite with the Young Wolf. That's what it does, right?
Yes, because you gain the life back. Oh, here on the stream, new technology. I get.
Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get the time to finish the integration to do to show the cards in the stream. We'll make sure we have that ready for the next event. So now we have to do it in a bit of a hacky way. Yeah, but is this card really that strong? It seems like, I mean, essentially it's like a Rumble kind of effect.
It's exactly Rumble, yeah. Just you
Or it's
get
like
instead of
creature
the
land.
token. I mean, Rumble says permanent cards, but I don't think. Oh, you have a grist. No, you can take a grist. So it's basically you can take. No, you can just take it. It's the same.
Yeah, essentially it's the same. But then you get live whenever a card leaves. So it's kind of like it allows you to go infinite, but I don't know. I'm still not sure. Let's, if you get the time, ask
If
Felipe.
you, for example, have a scavenger ooze, every remove gets you 2 life.
That is true, but it doesn't sound that broken. I mean, I guess it's just kind of like a free way to play it because I mean, it doesn't cost so much. I mean, it's like free value once you actually have it.
I
Maybe the
don't think
chat has some kind of idea.
the Soul Cauldron gives you, once you exile a creature, give you a life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the chat says life is a big deal for Yawgmoth, which I guess is true. I mean, we've just seen that he drew a lot of cards. And if you're like super low on life total, it's really hard to combo off, I guess. And this helps. But it only works if you have the Young Wolf. If you don't have the Young Wolf, it doesn't work, I feel. But maybe I'm wrong.
So maybe it also gives you some form of infinite life if you do it correctly.
If you have two of them, theoretically, the Young Wolf requires you to draw a card, right? Yes. But you can sack the creature you target in response of the trigger to avoid the card draw. So you can go even infinite if you do this.
So if you have 2 of those, you get infinite life.
Yeah, if you have two of those, you can like sack the Young Wolf, target like a creature, and then like another Young Wolf, and then sack the other Young Wolf in response. Maybe does that work? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that works.
Maybe that works because you must make sure that you don't draw infinite cards because then you lose. But I know there's like several ways to combo kill with the Soul Cauldron, and I don't remember exactly how it works. I think it's you can do.
Well, if you have a Soul Cauldron that's the young wolf with a counter can get all the abilities. So if you have a walking ballista, you can shoot from the young wolf.
Yes, you can. You shoot with the young wolf, then you sack it, and then you shoot with the young wolf, and then you sack it again. I think
Yes.
that's how
So
it works.
Cauldron eating a ballista and young wolf and young wolf.
Yep, that works.
Oh, that actually also creates infinite mana because if you have a ballista, young wolf, and the cauldron, you can shoot the wolf itself for a life.
Yes, and then if you have the wall of roots, you can make a mana every time. That will work.
So there are like infinite life if you get it somehow as an additional bonus. It's quite a neat added bonus. All right,
Yeah.
let's look at it. We'll probably see some in action. Delighted Halfling. There's a Soul Cauldron. And failed to push for Tamio. Okay, yeah. My educated guess is Team Breach only played 2 cards game 1. It's not looking good for them. This is the simple metric of
Did he
how many
mulligan?
cards.
See, yeah, it seems quite a lot of cards. So.
Soul Cauldron is also perceptively quite good because you can start exiling some of the cards.
Yes, I mean that's why it's one of the best cards in the matchup for sure. Is that the what was the card that was milled? The blue one on top. I don't recognize the artwork.
That's the Siren something, huh? Let's
Yep.
see. Pascal's sideboard has a strict serenade. That's a swan song
Oh, really?
that
That's
counts for artifact, creature, or planeswalkers.
oh yeah, right, you're right. It's actually that card. Crazy. Yeah, I mean I guess it counters some stuff in this matchup. What is it for? I guess it helps against the amulet matchup maybe. He has an interesting list anyway. He has like dress down in the sideboard, which is interesting.
Outlandish Liberator can destroy an artifact, but once it flips, can it definitely destroy artifacts. So do you want to use that now? Not a good idea because Bubble can just draw a card, but no.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, I think it's mostly to target sagas or breaches. The rest is not really a goal. One thing that's also like really bad in this matchup is that if the Yawgmoth gets the Soul Conjurer to exile the Liberator, it's really problematic. I had this happen before, and it's really difficult to win from this position. Yeah.
That is a fire spout? Interesting. Look at that. That's a 2010 card.
Yes.
Yes. 1-off fire spout. 3 damage to each non-flying and flying creature. Well, there it is. You can't make it bigger because the creature have only 2 toughness. If there would be 3 toughness, you could save the halfling, but not the case. Do you want to
Yes.
eat something with the cauldron? Probably not.
Probably it doesn't make it sense yet because you don't have a creature. I guess now if you have the arbor, it makes sense.
Do you want to make the arbor bigger? Now, if you exile the liberator, the arbor can also destroy artifacts or enchantments.
Yes, and that's the powerful combination I was talking about. It's quite tough sometimes to deal with this. Like you basically need to have an artifact hit, otherwise you cannot win. Luckily, he does have a few, but still, like 2 Nature's Slay, 1 was Aju, and the Haywire Might, of course, and also the 2 Flame of Anor.
So there seems to be a question regarding the Soul Cauldron. Very complicated piece of card. Very powerful piece of card as well. Does a lot of the things you want it to do.
The result is wrong, by the way. It's actually Pascal Grossman who won the first round with the ultimate of the Tamiyo. Yeah, now the game is kind of in a stalemate. No one has really anything good to progress the game with. He has a Flame of Honor, but he doesn't really want to cast it because it doesn't produce any value because he doesn't have a wizard.
There is an Underworld Breach, so
And a
that
grinding station. So I think the plan now is just to end of turn kill the Soul Cauldron, and then from there you're good to go.
Yawgmoth, especially with like 2 cards in hand, isn't really known for having that much interaction.
That's an endurance. Makes sense.
So Enduring gets rid of everything, which is still not good enough if you have all the pieces in your hand. You still need something you can recast with your grinding station.
Yes. I mean, he has the whole combo in hand, right? He has the Mox, the grinding station, and the breach, which means it's
So
probably
now,
still just about not enough to win. But it's pretty close. I'm not sure if it's a fetch land that he has in hand, but I think it's an island, right? Looks like
so
an
if you
island.
destroy the Cauldron now, and you play Underworld Breach, Grinding Station, Mox Opal, you need to find another artifact for 0, because the Mox Opal inherently doesn't make mana. So you need to find one more piece to turn on the Mox Opals. Everything still has to start with killing that Soul Cauldron, right? And then you can...
Yes. Then yes, then you have the maximum amount of cards because right now every card counts because you need to have enough cards in the graveyard. Yeah, so essentially now you fetch, then you have 2 cards in the graveyard, and then you just need like one more artifact or something, and then it should be enough to win.
You can probably also find, if you have a land, maybe you can hit a Preordain that helps you getting something. No, then you just draw. Is this something that to create one more artifact? No, right? You just need to naturally draw.
The Embry would also work, I think, because he has the 5 mana, so you can play the breach and the station will take up all the mana you have.
No, once you have 1 mana over, yeah, you can play an Embry and then loop the Mox Embers.
Yeah, that works as well. Or you can get a second artifact. That you just need to have one more artifact, right? And the way to get another artifact is either through having 4 cards in the graveyard, so you have you can play one from the graveyard.
Yes.
Or once you mill it, or the other option is to just draw the second one. A Rumble should work. That puts 4 cards in the graveyard. So then you have enough. Then you can play the artifact from the graveyard. That should be enough. So,
and if you play that first, it creates the mana for itself. And that's it. Question is now, does Felipe have any form of meaningful interaction? It doesn't look like. The body language doesn't give it away. There's a Mox Amber.
There's 2 cards in hand. I mean, it might be. It's likely to me that he has maybe another endurance because he played the first one quite aggressively, quite fast.
Yeah, but you have to get the beats going. Like that endurance needs to enter the battlefield, right? Or are you saying you want to save it instead of dealing damage? Your opponent is X6, so I think you're making the right call.
Yeah, I mean, probably you have to attack. I agree. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe he has another one.
Mox Amber. Is that the pick?
I think it's fine to also take the Tamio. You can take the Tamio, then you play the Breach, then you return the Mox Hammer from the graveyard, then you can play the Tamio, then you can play the grinding station, which means I think this works, and it would actually mean that you have a Tamio left over, and that you can play this turn, which would be
And
very good.
the point is not that Pascal is looking for a way to win. He knows if there's nothing, he has won. It's about what happens if my opponent has certain cards in their hand. How can I play around them while still winning this turn?
Yeah, yeah,
And most of the cases, he's aware that you cast your 2 cards and your opponent will scoop. But in some other cases, they will play on, and you want to have the maximum of playing on. All right? That's Metalcraft, and that's a breach. Is that fine with you, sir? Yes. Okay, well, what's going to happen first? You're casting a replacement Mox Opal. That will trigger the grinding station, but mainly you should sacrifice the Mox Opal before. But casting and putting it on the stack is a step you can do before giving your opponent priority.
yes.
So you cast Mox Opal, now it's in the graveyard, and since you've cast the Mox Opal before, you do get to have that free
Yeah.
Mox Opal, and there is a Boseiju. All right.
Yeah. So the problem with this, yeah. So that's why I was inclined to make the Tamio trick that I was talking about, because if you do it, you end up with a Tamio in play, which means you get to draw a card with a clue next turn, which gives you another out, and it will also block the Dried Arbor. But now you end up with like nothing except for the spawn, which is yeah, not the best. But
And
of
a
course,
Mox Opal.
yeah, I mean you still have the Mox Opal, but the Mox Opal doesn't do that much.
There is no value of just milling yourself with a station to hit something you can play, right? You might want to actually fill your graveyard for woodlands, but you still have a
You first need to draw it. I think you have enough. You already yeah, he already has Delirium, so it doesn't really matter that much. And you want to have the mana as well from the Opal. You prefer probably just make a mana next turn and then sack one artifact with the station, and then start the combo if you get there. And okay, he's not using the Dried Arbor. That suggests to me that he's having a Force of Vigor in hand.
one draw step, and it is a bubble. Okay.
So now you might see him sack the top card, yeah.
Oh, and then
Sack to mill the top card so he can get rid of it.
pretty smart. Yes. Sacrificing the Mox Opal, milling 3. 1, 2, 3. In your upkeep, I would like to draw a card. And here you see even the trigger from the enter the battlefield from the brush. That's another station. Not good enough. 1-1. Okay.
Yes.
And there didn't seem like much interaction. I guess there was Endurance and Boseiju and a decent clock.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just a lot of hate. I mean, there's like Yakov is similar in terms of that to like the Titan deck. Like Postport, it just has a lot of hate, and the trick to beat the matchup, I think, is to just make sure you you can
You can
yeah
outvalue the
yeah
hate.
not just not outvalue it. It's just like how do you say it? You need to make sure that like all the hate is kept in check. Basically, I mean, you need to have the needle for the Boseiju. You need to have like the spell pierce um for the force of vigor. Then you have the consign for the uh what is it called? So that's kind of like
The
the
cauldron.
endurance trigger, yeah, or the cauldron. Um, yeah, so the kind of like this is the difficulty that I had, like at least in the title matchup. The kind of like the trick is not the clock usually. It's just a problem. It's just that you need to just handle everything, and that's kind of tough.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Titan usually boards out like all the amulets, so they only have no, not all the amulets, all the sagas. Sorry, because of the consign, and for this reason, they get a lot slower, and you just need to make sure you beat all the hate because they have so much hate. First of all, like they have the oof, they have the endurance, they have the force of vigor, and they have the Boseiju, similar like what the Yawgmoth deck does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Also, can we maybe quickly have a look at Pascal Grosskanman's deck list because it's actually really interesting. He plays 2 into the Floodmaw, which probably was boarded out. I'm not exactly sure why he plays that, but it's very spicy. And then he also does. He only plays 3 Emery and only 2 Saga, which is interesting. But he also does play the Grave Shot in the main deck, and he plays
Three
the
grinding
Haywire.
stations.
Sorry,
Only 3 grinding stations in the main deck.
that's actually normal. All the breach
Oh,
lists play 3 grinding stations.
all right.
But he also plays the Haywire Might in the sideboard, which is interesting. Like there's like a lot of different things. He also plays the mana base with 2 breeding pools and 2 steam vents, which is odd. Like most lists play only 1 each, and instead of stomping around. But yes, I don't know.
And the Jace main deck.
Yeah, he also plays a Chase main deck, which is interesting. I guess I play Grapeshot at Chase in the main deck. So Grapeshot is like just like another removal, and then you have the Chase as like your ultimate win condition. Interesting. All right, let's
So does it matter then? Because we saw and the grape shot. So in addition to that, he also adds a Jace. That's crazy.
yeah, he says great. Yeah, but I think who else? I think someone else also had that like uh two win conditions in the main deck. One of them Grapeshot, one of them Chase. I mean, I can also see it. I think it's reasonable to do it. I mean, Chase and Thassa's Oracle, Chase and Grapeshot are generally better cards in the main deck than Thassa's Oracle. But yeah. All right, we're underway with game 3, and it's
Oh, it's a Tamio and the Mox Opal. Okay.
why did he play it on turn 1? Is there a reason for it? I guess he cannot get Thought Seized then, which is probably the reason to do it.
I assume it's more of a if I don't get punished, there's no downside. So
No, I think Pascal usually has a reason for when he does things. I think it makes sense. Like if he's like if this is the only land he has, it's really important for the Mox Opal to stick. And then it makes sense to just play it out to prevent it from being Thought Seized.
yep.
I think that was probably intentional. I'm not sure if there's anything else that would make a reason to play it, but I think that's the only one. There's nothing that makes stuff cost more. So the only other downside would be if he gets discarded. So yeah, I think that must be the reasoning.
It also fits the storyline. There are no lands because there's a Boseiju, which means there's probably no other land that could have been played instead of this Boseiju.
Yeah.
Grinding Station makes Metalcraft. And pass the turn. Okay. In your upkeep. What? I assume that also happened in the same turn. Preordain. Scry to keep a card or draw a fresh one, depending on what you're looking for. Usually, you're looking for very specific cards.
Yeah. So he didn't draw for Tamio, so it won't flip this turn. So
For example, if you find an Underworld Breach now, that's just almost game. And if that's your benchmark of finding cards, you don't want basically any other card.
I mean, like, I think you're in a quite comfortable position. So anything that advances your situation, I think, is also decent. Like for example, like a Flame of Honor or something like that would be also really comfortable right now. Like I mean, Philippe is probably going to play some sort of 2-drop next turn, like a Soul Cauldron or something.
I saw a dress down, and that dress down is staying there if he does this.
Yeah, I mean, Dress Down helps to counter the Endurance, which is a very problematic card. But if you already have the station, it doesn't matter that much if they have the endurance.
The
So
opportunity cost of keeping a dress down is quite low. If you have enough mana, it just replays itself. So it doesn't really make a difference,
I
except
mean,
for that you might use it in certain scenarios to save your graveyard and or board state.
Pascal is creating a clue a turn, so he wants to also sacrifice the clues and get card advantage. And spending 2 mana basically means you lose a card because you're not able to crack the clue.
Correct.
So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, it depends like what the hand is. Like if the hand is like breach, then I can see that you just want to get the dress down to protect yourself from endurance, because you will just
This is a very tight thing because it's one game away from the finals. So
yes.
you can't make the finals if you lose this game, obviously, and then your tournament is over. Pretty close to the actual winning scenario. So
there is a breach already in hand. Okay, that's interesting. And the dress down, and then don't know what the last card is. So yeah, so if he has a land, if Pascal has a land next turn, he can go breach into dress down, which will play around the endurance. But I guess the endurance is kind of covered already anyway. So the question is, yeah, it's really depends on what Felipe has.
endurance doesn't really beat you alone anyway, right? Because like okay, that's a total tap out. Now not much can happen except for Force of Vigor.
Yeah, I think the Force of Vigor is the best thing that he can have. Everything else doesn't do that much. But given the fact that what he played right now, it seems unlikely that it's the Force of Vigor, because I think I would pitch a Young Wolf if I could in this situation, because it doesn't do that much.
Grinding Station sacrifices the clue to fill the graveyard. And that's quite neat because you will have Metalcraft from the attack of the Tamio. And that means then once you hit the Breach, you have priority, you can cast at least one thing. And assuming your opponent doesn't have Force of Vigor, you cast many, 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 many things. But the point you want to prevent is that you don't do anything. And this is
He
giving
also
you at least
has
something.
the Swan Song in the graveyard, which will counter the Force of Vigor. So I think he has everything covered almost, except for the Endurance. I think the Endurance can still get him because he doesn't have that much mana. But maybe you just don't care at this point, because I don't think you really need to kill this turn. You could also just wait one turn. I think that would be fine.
But do you really want to wait?
Let's see.
Okay, that's a mana. That's milling for 3 at the station. That's a signal. You don't want to wait. You want to do that right now.
Yeah, but now if Felipe has the
Floating red.
Endurance, it's awkward.
Underworld Breach. Well, is it really that awkward? Because you just play the Opal now, and then Endurance doesn't do anything.
No, he will. The Breach is on the stack, and in response to his Endurance, shuffle away the graveyard.
Okay.
And then you don't have the third artifact. You need something else instead. Then you don't have. Then you don't even have the mana to. Like, then you're stuck on 2 lands. So if Felipe has exactly the Endurance right now, then it's tough. But otherwise, I think everything else is covered.
Is there Endurance?
There is an Endurance. That's really awkward.
Oh.
Yeah, not sure. That was a bit aggressive in my opinion to run out the Sector Opal. I think I would have preferred to keep the Opal.
But there is no. There's still a shot. There is Pithing Needle, which starts the engine.
That is true.
So if you find a 0 cost artifact, you win the game.
Yes, but if you don't, you're quite a bit behind. I mean, now, like, also, like, Pascal only has 2 lands, so I think now.
Can you deny that opportunity?
I think you have to do it, but it's still not great because you just lose like another card that is valuable.
Yeah, but if you just name Pithing Needle what you want, doesn't it do it? Like, You can name the cauldron. That's not the worst that happens.
Yeah, you can name the Cauldron or the Boseiju. There's also 3 Boseiju in this deck. So it's quite a lot. But I guess it doesn't do that much. So I think the Cauldron is probably the best thing to name at the moment.
And even then, you still have a Tamio that attacks and makes clues. All right, what is going to happen?
Yeah, I think.
Do it.
So I think the correct play would have been to play the breach and then you sack the
What?
Mox.
You don't sacrifice anything?
No, I don't think so.
That is strange. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could try maybe one loop, but the problem is like if you don't find a 0-drop, you just sacrifice another artifact, and the chance of like finding it is but maybe this is wrong. Like the chance of winning is still.
That is so tight.
I know. I think the mistake was, in my opinion, was just to sack the Mox. I think sacking the Mox was not necessary because you can first play the breach and then sack the Mox, and then you don't end up in this awkward endurance spot while still having the Force of Vigor covered. So, but yeah, let's see what he does. How he can recover from this, because now the problem is just that he has just 2 lands, and the clues are not going to be that powerful if you just have 2 lands, and you have to like spend all the mana to sack the clues, and you don't have mana left to do anything else. Yeah, I don't know. I think this game looked like very, very favored for Pascal, but now it doesn't look that great anymore. Like if Philippe has any kind of threat, which maybe he actually does not have.
There's a Dryad Arbor. Yeah. And that's all of the pressure there is, right? Or is there something else left? Attack? Is there a card in hand? Ah, there's a Court of Calling. 4/2.
So I guess you get the Collector Oath, because then the Tamiyo does not do anything. Well, I guess in this case it didn't matter so much that the Mox Opal was sacked, because
another problem added. The Collector Oof shuts down all artifacts. But you can prevent that once with your dress down. So that is covered, at least for a turn. But here again, it starts. You just want to play a combo deck, and your opponent keeps on throwing obstacles. It's really annoying, is it? Like,
yeah, I mean, these matchups where they have so much hate are quite tough to beat.
Emery revealing 4 cards, including a Fire Spout that you would have loved to have, but no.
That's true. I mean, if you have the red mana, then you would love to have it. Otherwise, okay, that's it's another. That's an attack. Okay, that's strange.
Okay, not killing the young wolves.
I see, just like blocking. Yeah, but it's still gonna take it. Like it's basically a question of like who draws the Haymaker first. But I still think that the
Wall of Roots, not the Haymaker you're looking for.
No, but I still think it favors Felipe greatly, because if he draws, if he gets the like a Yawgmoth or a Cord or something, it's just gonna be game. Well,
that's super good. You can start casting your artifacts.
Yeah, that's true. That helps, but you still need to.
So you take the land, cast the Mox Amber, play land. Next turn you have access to so much mana. And you're not even close to dying. Yes. Okay. So Yawgmoth, you're on the back foot. Are you doing something relevant? Draw a card.
Yeah.
This needs to be something good. Yawgmoth would be good. Court of Calling would be good. Soul Cauldron would maybe. No, on Soul Cauldron there's nothing you can really do. Ooh.
I mean, it turns off the Emery, which I guess also doesn't do that much. Yeah, I guess it doesn't do anything. Just attacking for the damage. There we go.
The strong modern decks. We have 5/1/1s attacking you.
Oh, now he has the breach. So now I think it's actually lethal unless.
Ooh. Okay, so let's count it together. You play Breach, and you cast the dress down, and then you go into the combo. Your opponent has one card. So what's the maximum security you can squeeze out of it?
Yeah, the sick part about the dress down is also just that it's just gonna turn off the endurance. Like you just play it, and then the endurance doesn't do anything. So the only card that Felipe can have is the Force of
Force
Vigor
of
or the
Vigor.
Boseiju. Oh yeah, but I guess maybe you should wait. Actually,
Do you have the Force of Vigor covered with a counter spell?
no, I don't think it's a counterspell in the graveyard or anywhere. So I think if you wait one turn, you can end of turn dress down, and then yes, I think if he has exactly. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Dress down. Does it resolve?
It's a second breach.
Draw a card.
I think now I would have liked to see the.
Is that good? Does it help?
Yeah, he has the Boseiju, but I guess the Boseiju doesn't do anything because he just has another reach. Tough luck.
We
Yeah,
could draw the double breach.
yeah. So the only card that would actually have worked is the Force of Vigor. Yeah, I mean when you draw the three times your namesake card, sometimes it helps. Sick. Just crazy.
Nice. Well done, Pascal, going to the finals.
Yeah,
One.
Pascal's also a good friend to you, or at least it seems he knows you. Or
We know when he still lived in Hanover, back in Germany.
I see.
We had some tournaments together and played Pro Tour London
Okay.
before COVID. So I know Pascal. He's a very, very strong combo player.